What is happening, Reject Nation? It's Greg Alba here.
And it's John Humphrey over here.
So today we're going to review the movie Jigsaw.
Alright.
So we actually caught this movie on 4DX Experience over at CGV Cinemas in Buena Park. You guys probably heard us talk about it before. Kyle and I did a vlog covering the event that they're having over there, this awesome haunted theater experience with spooky decorations, some scares, some monsters. It's a total blast. And their 4DX was awesome. It really did enhance the Jigsaw experience. So if we were to recommend watching Jigsaw, I would absolutely say watch it at 4DX over at CGV Cinemas.
Be a part of the trap.
And today we also wanted to give a shout out to this new app that we've been partnered up with called Stardust. Stardust is an app that allows you to do 30-second reactions for any film, TV show, or trailer. We just put up ours for Jigsaw if you want to catch our super short thoughts. A lot of your favorite YouTubers are using it as well. Jeremy Johns, The Flick Pick, Late to the Party. There's a whole bunch of YouTubers using it, but if we're the first ones to mention this to you, you make sure to use our link first, download it, and follow us. John did his whole recap of all of the Saw movies, and I'm using it to take advantage of covering TV shows I'm watching.
So if you like the kind of things that we do here and you want to see them in a bite-sized form, or if you just want to get on and upload your own reactions, download Stardust with our special link below, and make sure to follow us first so they know that we sent you. And be sure to send us your Thor reactions if you are using the app. Tag us and Stardust on social media, and we might even use one of those in our upcoming review for that movie.
Like how we're gonna use for Jigsaw right now. Take a look.
It is a Saw movie.
Jigsaw takes the Saw franchise back to its original form, where it was less about gore and more about the craftiness of the traps.
Okay, people are totally panning this movie, and I get it. But you know, I love the icky feeling that I get watching it. I love the suspense.
I'm surprised that I liked it.
The acting is just what you would expect, but it made up for it in the twist.
Overall, if you're a fan of the franchise, this is one that finally makes up for Saw, the final chapter.
There are a couple of surprises, but the ending is so obvious.
I thought it was all right, and it's fun if you just want to waste an hour and a half.
Less pornographic.
Over convoluted, crazy, bloody October garbage.
If you're a fan, go for it.
Make sure to download and follow us at The Real Rejects on Stardust. Now, on to our full-length Jigsaw review. Saw, not the final chapter. It's another chapter, the 8th chapter, if you will. So in this movie, it's directed by the Spielberg brothers. It's directed by the Spielberg brothers, who did films such as Predestination and Daybreakers. 2 films that were pretty well received, actually. Now they're moving on to this. It's been 7 years since the last Saw installment. I was pretty interested in seeing this film. When I saw the trailers, I thought, like, this looks like Saw might actually be going down a path of having a little more fun. I noticed the cinematography definitely looked different. It was shot in a much wider frame ratio, so you get a better aspect ratio when you're watching the film. Honestly, I got pretty much what I wanted from the film. I didn't really factor in what people were saying on Rotten Tomatoes about it. I'm like, it's a Saw movie. I don't really care what they have to say.
These are never critical darlings.
Who the hell
and
cares?
You know, you're not going into it for that.
I actually got a little bit more out of it than I expected it to. There's not much gore in the film. I mean, there's moments.
But when there is, they make it count.
They make it count. I was never grossed out to the point where I was like, ugh. I know you were. There were times where you definitely were like, oh.
The pound for pound, there's not a ton of gore in this movie, but I will say that during the gory moments, they're pretty gory. There are some effects in here that I was not expecting to see. At one point, you see somebody's whole head has been bisected across the middle, and you just see like jaw and brains, and like, I was not expecting that.
It's cool.
It's gross. It's not. Is that not
gross? It's gross, but it's not like you see it happen. You just see the body. If we had seen that happen, then I might have been grossed out.
Pound for pound in terms of like screen time gore, this isn't like the previous Saw movies where, you know, it's like, oh, the extended cut has 30 more seconds of gore. It's not like that kind of a gory
This
movie.
movie's not a gore fest. I'll say that. To me,
But they make the gore count.
What I really appreciated about this film is that it's a mystery film. Again, that was something that I felt the other Saw movies kind of lack. It's like there's always a twist. I guess there's a mystery element to it, but this was a Saw movie that actually has you guessing the whole time. Basically, it's been a long time since there's been a Jigsaw appearance of any sort, so people are like, what's going on? Is Jigsaw actually back from the dead? How can that be? There was a whole autopsy scene we had.
The truth will set you free.
If there's an apprentice, who's the apprentice? Who's the one carrying on his work?
Who is the copycat killer?
Yeah, and then there's the detective story in here as well, trying to solve the mystery. I actually really enjoyed it. I thought the mystery element was really well done. And there were times where it was very questionable. At times we were like, this doesn't make sense. And it has the Act 1, Act 2, Act 3 structure, with the 3 structure having the big twist reveal like we expect in all these Saw movies. And when that twist was done, I thought, very clever. It was in front of me. They were leaving little clues throughout the whole time. And by the time it's unveiled, it has everything makes sense. I thought it was a really well done twist. And one thing I'll give this film the biggest credit for out of 8 Saw films, I will not say it's the best Saw movie, especially when it has a established fan base already. I would say it's easily the most enjoyable to watch.
It would probably be the easiest to rewatch. It's probably got the most rewatchability.
Yeah, it's got the most charm out of all of them. As I would say with the other Saw films, I thought they were really grim and dour and kind of gross. Every time one of them ends, I just feel like icky and in a dark place by the time one of those films ends. By the time this one was done, I actually said I had fun watching that, and I thought it was actually fun. I've never said that about a single Saw movie.
And it's what they said they wanted to do from the very beginning, and you get that sense that from behind the camera, someone is having a good time with this.
No, it's not creepy at all.
There's that thing where the movie doesn't get overly zany or overly humorous, even though there are some moments of self-conscious humor. But there are a lot of little things that happen here and there where you can tell that, you know, the people making it, the aura of the movie has a grin inside of it.
Yeah,
you know?
There's that trap that you see hints of in the trailer when there's a couple of people trapped in this like large pile of grain, and then there's like objects falling down.
They're in a silo.
And honestly, when that trap was going down, I was laughing, but not in an unintentional way. I was just laughing because I was like, wow, I'm actually enjoying like having a fun time with this trap instead of just being like, ugh, oh my god, this is gross. And one thing I like too, which I'm not sure how Saw fans will respond. I've seen every Saw movie, and I personally like this touch. They don't do the crazy hyper stylized flashes and music video style of chaotic editing when the traps are going down. If anything, they just play out like a scene, which I really appreciated. It wasn't like how you put it in the car. It wasn't obvious that they took a bunch of different coverage on a bunch of different angles and then they made it work in the editing room. You could tell it was thought out how they were going to put this together when they were actually filming it.
The cast is good. I mean,
the cast is really good, yeah.
The writing of the dialogue isn't always up to snuff, but there are a lot of times where it is, and this is the first Saw movie I can really think of where most of the people involved in the actual trap are not completely unlikable.
Yeah.
And I don't just hate them.
I would say that there's no one in this movie I loved. There's not a single character where I was I love this character and I really hope they don't die. I never felt that way. At the same time though, I was never like, God, I can't stand these characters. I can't wait for all of them to die.
Yeah, and there are certain Saw movies that are hurt by that, and this made a really nice effort to kind of allow these people to talk and interact in the situations instead of just yelling at each other until someone's dead.
Yeah,
you know?
And it doesn't have all the cliches of, you know, someone wakes up in a trap, help! Oh my God, help! You know, it took away a lot of cliches that would get on my nerves after seeing so many Saw installments.
Well, yeah, this movie takes into account that we all know the conceit by now, the characters know the conceit by now. This is all about catching a copycat killer. It doesn't waste a lot of time with that stuff, and so it feels a bit more fresh because of that. And it doesn't even do the whole recap of the entire film montage that all the other Saws do either. You know, it kind of gives you the credit for paying attention and keeping it going. And there are some moments of flat, you know, exposition dialogue.
There's some moments where it drags
you
a little
understand.
bit. Yeah.
And like 2/3 of the way through, there are some times when you're cutting back and forth between multiple plot lines where it does start to feel a little bit like a mess. But overall, it comes back together, and I thought it was nice that they were able to take me from a place of sitting there watching and going, how is this possible? And then by the end, I'm like, oh, well done.
Yeah.
Nice, not bad.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There's some definite cons in the film. There's this whole side plot that they have with the assistant surgeon.
Yeah, the coroner's
and I won't give away what the side plot is. The whole time I was watching it, I was like, this is so unnecessary. And I felt it. You could see what the directors are trying to do with it, trying to give you, like, make you think about it, and it would be a spoiler if I said what it was about. I just knew it was a waste of time when I was watching it, and then by the time film closed, I'm like, yep, it was a waste of time. Side sidetracked, and I didn't like what they were trying to do with it. And one of the things with the saw traps is all these people are specifically chosen victims who have details on their background that are kind of kept secret, that whoever Jigsaw or Jigsaw copycat is knows the details of what's really going on. You put it best, like, how is Jigsaw omnipresent? How does he know so many details to things that haven't been released, or you would have to have been there to know the details of certain things?
I feel like part of the suspension of disbelief with any of the Saws is sort of getting past the orchestrations, because, you know, this is a lot of work for whoever's doing it, and a lot of precision and a lot of planning and timing.
Do I love this film? No, I don't love it. But do I think it's pretty enjoyable? Yeah, I thought it was actually really enjoyable, especially for a guy who's seen every single Saw movie.
Yeah, for better or for worse. And this one certainly brightens things up and brings enough of the old stuff that you're familiar with and that you love or hate, depending on your feelings about Saw, and it shines it up with some new life, a new sense of tone, and a new look.
Yeah, there's a new style of direction that I really appreciate. There's some damn cool shots in this movie. The visual aesthetic to the film is arguably the best visual aesthetic. I think you can make an argument for it being the best visually looking Saw movie.
There's sunlight in this movie.
Yeah, that's a big difference.
You know, like...
It's not some grainy, gothy,
it's
like,
not all
in-your-face horror movie.
Like, the old Saw movies have a very...
It doesn't feel
grimy,
ugly.
Gray. Yeah. It's not as visually ugly and tonally ugly because, you know, not everything is washed out.
Yeah.
And that does, you know, help it feel a bit fresh.
And it's more about the mystery element and less about the gore element. But when the gore is there, the gore is there. I just think that Spirit Brothers had a lot more fun making this film than other installments have.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's the best Saw movie. I might rank it as number 3 or 4, to be honest. I think everyone pretty much agrees that Saw 1 and 6 are the best ones in terms of its themes and mood and mystery elements. I think Saw 1 and 6...
And working as horror movies.
Yes, exactly. I would say it's the 3rd best Saw movie, but the number 1 most enjoyable Saw movie.
Yeah, it's definitely the most enjoyable, and it's not gonna push you too hard. Like I said, you know, the traps are relatively simple this time around. They're not, you know,
but there's a reason for that.
These amazing Rube Goldberg contraptions so much. Like, they kind of are, but they're not as outlandish as some of the previous traps. But I think there's a lot of stuff that they dial up instead of that, you know, that helps this movie a lot.
And more importantly, there's just a damn good twist that actually made it worth it in the end.
Yeah, I dug the twist. Overall, I think if you're a Saw fan, I imagine you would probably enjoy this. And if you're not a big fan of the previous films, you might still have fun with this one, because it does kind of alleviate some of the nastiness of the original series.
Yeah.
You know? It depends on what you want out of it and what kind of viewer. Like, it's not great necessarily, but it is really enjoyable, especially around Halloween.
Yeah, I really feel like the Spirit Brothers thought this one out. There are people saying that they don't do anything different with it, and I don't agree with that, actually, at all. Especially when you watch the other ones, you're like, this looks different, it feels different. This first Saw movie, not that gory. And then the other ones become a lot more gory as they keep going, and I feel like as the fan base of Saw, they've kind of come to expect gore, and at the same time, the same fan base is like the first one did it the best, where it didn't rely heavily on gore. So I feel like this film has this good blend of adding a heavy amount of mystery element to it, and then giving us gore here and there when it's necessary and applicable, without losing itself in it. And so, yeah, I think this film was solid. I enjoyed the hell out of it. I had a really good time,
movie.
And I think if you're a Saw fan, you'll really enjoy the hell out of it too. What would you rate it, John?
I would rate it 5.5 bear traps and like 6 rolls of barbed wire and 1,000 volts of electricity. It's pretty good.
3 out of 5. All right, Reject Nation, thanks for watching our review of Jigsaw. Go check it out. Check it out in 4DX while you're at it. That's CGV Cinemas in Buena Park. You can subscribe to The Real Rejects. Please click that notification bell. You can follow us on social media. Links in the description box. And also, we have a Halloween sketch coming out on Halloween, so keep a lookout for that. Maybe it's linked to a little Saw territory. Who knows?
Oh, no.
Who knows?
Or maybe it's not.
Or maybe it's not.
Maybe that's the twist.
Please make sure to download the Stardust app and follow us with our special link in the description box. We are using this app actively. Been using it weekly for sure. I might even say daily. More like every other day. Bottom line, we're freaking using it, so follow us on it.
Jump on it.